What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Santi Louis III of SL3 Simulations. This is a short video which is a follow-up of my previous one about the new flap detent and handle modification I have made for the Thrustmaster TCA. This is Mark II of that design. Yeah, I know it came in too soon. The reason is because it wasn't planned. This feature wasn't part of that design. It's a small feature, but it's a big thing on the real A320, and after some tinkering, I found that it's very doable. It's a simple addition, so if we can do that to add up to immersion, why not? It's all about that Balk at position 1 or 3, aka a mechanical stopper, position at 1 and 3. And that is designed to prevent the pilot from excessive flap setting with one action, which means that from position 0, it has to drop at 1 first before pilot can set it to 2 or 3. And of course, there's a stopper at 3, which means from position 1, the pilot cannot proceed to 4 without stopping at 3. And from 4, or the full setting, the flap has to drop at 3 first, since we have a stopper here, before the pilot can set it to 2 or 1. And from 1 goes back to fully retract. So to show that feature, let's try to slide the flap from 0 to 2 or 3 or 4. See, we are not able to do that because we have added in the bulk. So we have to drop at 1, like so. And from 1, let's try to slide it all the way to full, which is not possible because of the Balk system. So either we have to drop from 2 and 3 before we can go to 4. And from 4, let's try to slide it to 2. And that is impossible to do. So we have to drop at 3 first before we can go to 2. Now from 3, let's try to fully retract it, and that is impossible because we have a stopper at 1. So we have to drop at 2. From 3, we have to drop at 2 first, then 1, and then finally to 0. Now that system is possible by adding the Balks at position 1 and 3. Seen here as these spikes. So for those of you who have purchased the mod, the version 1 of the mod, don't worry, I'll be providing a STL and SVG file to produce this new detent system and this new pin holder, which is slightly different from the first one. The only difference is that the pin is now positioned a little lower and a little forward. So this part and the new detent plate is what makes this feature possible. If you haven't watched the previous video on this mod, I recommend you to do so, because in this video I'm not going through the same process of opening up the whole system and removing the original rods and whatnot. So please visit that video first. Links in the description below, or you can simply click the link here. Everything will be the same except the portion on how we install this new detent plate. That's the only difference. The rest is exactly the same procedure as the first video. So if you haven't watched that, please, I recommend you watch that first and then come back on this video. So welcome back. So installation from here is pretty straightforward. So the next step would be, after you install this base hold here, this base bracket, you have to install this piece, this detent plate, like how you see it here on the video, like so. With the supplied bolts, you install the spacer like this, and the 2 screws on this side here like this, so it would look like that. The next thing is pretty easy to do. This is our new detent pin. Now take note that if you position your flap unit like this, the new pin has to face in this orientation also, facing to the left. So it goes right into the replacement tube, like so. Now you notice that the side of the pin will hit this detent plate here. So what you can do is move the lever all the way to the flap number 4 position, and then just slightly push this plate outward, very gently, very slightly, just so that the pin can go in and settle on one of the slots there, like that. Now once you have done that, the rest is pretty easy to do. The next thing is to install this the other side of the plate. Now again, take note that on this side here, this plate is the one with the notch on the edge, and that is because there is some bulge on the base of the bottle, as you can see there. Right, so from here we continue to install the second plate here, and as easy as that, just ensure that you fit it nicely on the corner of this bracket here. There you go. Now another thing new on Mark II is that these handles here, the puller handle and the handle top, will come shipped with a pre-installed Allen grab screw for tightening. And mind you, this screw is this big, rather this tiny. So it is pre-installed on the holes here. And we also ship this tiny Allen key to use for tightening and adjusting. Right, so you see here we have a working system of detents, of course with a new mechanical stopper, aka Balks, on positions 1 and 3. So in goes the spring, like so, followed by the 3D printed washer. Now there's one thing to note here that I forgot to mention on my first video. If you look underneath the hood of this enclosure cover, you will notice that at this portion here there is a slight residue of the plastic injection. I suppose it is one of those injection inlets for the mold. So you will see a tiny bulge here from these two sides. Now that will interfere with the movement of the lever when this washer here rubs against the roof here. So you have to ensure, if you look into the under the hood and you find that there's a bit of plastic residue protruding here on the edges, you will have to scrape them off. And one way to do that is just use any flat surface, flat tip device like a flat screwdriver, and just scrape it off like that until you make the surface smooth. Now you will notice that if you forget to do that, you will notice that when your lever is passing through position number 2, that's where you notice there is a slight friction there, and that is caused by that plastic residue. So on a special note, please check that and scrape any excess plastic that you will see on that surface there, on these two edges. Right, so with the washer on, let's replace back the cover. And you continue with this other 4 here on the corners. Right, so next step is to install the handles, and again, as mentioned, the new mod will ship with the pre-installed Allen key grub screws for tightening, and also we will ship it together with the right size Allen key. So this thing goes through the fitting here. Now please note that I purposely designed this to have the tight tension, so that you have a leverage on the fitting. So you see there, I have to apply a bit of force to let it sit there. Now in itself, I think it already has some amount of tension to allow it to be operated like so. But just to ensure that it grips the tube nicely, then you have to tighten the screw with the supplied Allen key. Just turn this bit by bit. Don't overdo it. Like so. You see the spring there working. Now, of course, you'll notice that you will need to readjust it to tighten it further. If during operation you will find that this puller here will slip through and will pop out of the right positioning here. So the next one is a no-brainer. This is our mushroom head. I like to call it mushroom head again. Same thing with the puller here. We ship it with a pre-installed Allen grub screw. So all you have to do is just fit it in place here on top, and also to apply a bit of force, like so. Just ensure that it is aligned on the same orientation, straight, like so. And once it is positioned nicely, then we can tighten the Allen grub screw here. Okay, again, don't overdo the tightening, just enough that this one doesn't move about, that it sticks in place. This one doesn't need a lot of force to move. Now, another thing to note here, this is not a real Airbus based thing. There is a bias on the 2. When you're on the position 1, what I'm saying is there is a bias towards 2 rather than on the 0. Now what I'm trying to say is that if you leave the lever position on 1, when you lift this lever without moving this handle, it actually is biased towards number 2 rather than on 0. And this is not an Airbus thing. This is inherent to how I cut and measure the detent plates. So with that in mind, if you want to fully retract the flaps from position 1, I would recommend that you apply a bit of forward pressure first, a little bit of forward before lifting this, and you do it nicely like that. Now I think it's the same thing with position 3. We have a Balk stopper here. So if you just leave the lever like that and try to operate it, lift it, you will see that the thing is biased towards number 4 rather than number 2. And that is how I made the cut here. I did not do it on purpose, but it turns out it's all biased towards the lower position. Now again, from 1, if you lift the thing, it has a bias towards number 2. So to push it back to the fully retracted position, just push a tiny bit forward before you lift this, like so. Otherwise, if you lift it and push it, you might have a resistance there because the pin is already slid towards the inner part of between 1 and 2. So just push it a little bit and lift it like so. And same thing with position number 3. When you lift it, it goes biased towards the full position. So from number 3, if you want to move it to number 2, just apply a little bit of pressure forward before you lift it, like so. There you go. So there you go, guys. Mark 2 of my flap mod, and this time with a realistic mechanical stopper on position 1 and 3. It's a small feature, but it's a big thing on the real Airbus. Now again, is this necessary? I don't think so. For home flight simulation use, you don't need this. But in the name of realism, if you can get as real as you can, why not? You know, it doesn't take a lot to apply that on the mod. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again on my next video. Take care and have a nice day.